I've timestamped everything in the video, so if there's a particular part that you want to see or there's some terminology you don't understand, just check the description of the video and I have everything there listed. So I'm just going to start from the top with control scheme and the button layout. So Street Fighter and a lot of fighting games in general, not all though, it's an 8-way fighter, so we can move in 8 different directions, and it's a 6-button fighter, so we use 6 buttons to attack. So we have, as far as movement is concerned, we can move with the cardinal directions, cardinal meaning up, down, left or right. So we can go back, forward, down, up. And we also have our diagonals. So we can jump back, jump forward, we can hold down, back, and down, forward. Even though that looks the same, whichever one that I use, down, forward, or down, back, there's still different things going on as far as inputs are concerned, which I'll get to in a bit. But in general, whenever you are in a crouching position, you want to be holding back. So I'm holding down, back, down. If I'm on the other side, I want to hold down, right, down, back. So in relation to whichever direction your character is facing, you usually want to hold down, back for when you're defending, because that's how you defend in Street Fighter. You hold back to block, which is very important. There's only a few moments where your defense will be open, like when you're doing special moves. You have to get out of the back position sometimes, and obviously if you have to move or travel, your defense will be a little exposed there too. So that takes care of the movements. As far as the face button, the attack buttons are 6 buttons here. The first top 3, we have our punch buttons, and the bottom 3 are our kick buttons. So they're ordered neatly like that. And they go in order of strength. So starting with the punch row, we have light punch, and then we have medium punch, and then we have heavy punch. And then with the kicks, we have light kick, medium kick, heavy kick. And then these 2 extra buttons, when you're playing the arcade version of these games, that's usually just reserved for the insert coin button, which for me is this, and then the start button, which is that. So after you put in your coins, you can press start and it'll put you into the game. So that takes care of the general layout scheme. So let's talk about our normals in more detail. We know what they are. So light punch, medium punch, heavy punch, light kick, medium kick, heavy kick. But those aren't just the 6 attacks we have to work with. We also have other normals. And also in general, I'm just using Ryu here, the character I'm controlling, as an example, but whenever you pick up any character in any fighting video game, that's just your homework to do, to learn your character. So you want to learn all of their normals because they're all unique and special. Some look very similar, but they have different properties to them. Like, you see how medium punch hits a little farther than light punch. And then heavy punch It looks to me it hits a little less far than medium punch. But also, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on hitboxes. Show you something else. So these hitboxes here, as they're called, this is how the game calculates just whether something hit or not. It's sort of like just what's going on under the hood in the game. So while we normally can't see this since I'm using a training program and Fightcade, it can show us cool little things like this. So this is the under the hood version of our characters, of what's going on. So the blue boxes are our hurt boxes. Those are the boxes that are vulnerable to being hit by an attack, which are the red boxes, the hit boxes. So if that makes contact with Ken's blue hitbox, it's gonna hit. But you see, I'm super close. I'm hitting his shoulder. You know, like if we turn off the hitboxes for a second, kind of like you would think that would hit there. But you can see that his hurt box is actually, it goes a little more in. So yeah, his reuse heavy punch does hit a little. Wait, does it? No, it hits a little lower, but I think farther. Unless I'm getting old and my eyes are messing with me, probably. But anyways, the point is, these are unique normals. So you see his kicks. Well, that one hits very low. This one hits very high. And that one hits a little high and farther as well, his heavy kick. So you want to get familiar with all of your normals when picking up a new character. For starters, that's always like the most basic thing you should do. So your light attacks, light punch and light kick, they're going to be your quickest attacks. And these are going to be good for checking your opponent. As in, like, say they're going up close. And you want to keep them away, you can do something like that. You know, to keep them away from you. That way you can think and formulate a game plan. You don't want your opponent to be in your face and you not be in control. So you can do like a couple of jabs or something. See, that connects 2 hits. Or he can do it with his light kicks. Get some space. So I can do like 3 light crouching kicks there. Because that would be preferable. Because if I was this close and I was doing something like crouching medium punch, the medium buttons, they hit a little harder, but they travel a little slower. So that something like that's going to be beat out by the startup of something of a light attack. So for example, let me actually have Ken try to hit me with his medium punch. Wait. See? Sorry. There we go. It only took like 3 or 4 tries. But yeah. That's not to say with a bad mistiming press like I did, you know, something can go out of your favor. But yes, the anything with a faster startup is gonna beat something with a less quicker startup, obviously. And then your heavy attacks, they hit the hardest, but they're also the slowest. But you want to use all of these at their appropriate ranges. So you can use your heavy attacks like there, for example. But I wouldn't use like I'd say I'd be careful about using a heavy button up close. Especially if it's blocked. But anyways, let's continue for now with the normals. We also have our crouching normals. So if we crouch and press any one of the attack buttons, they'll do a crouching normal. So he's got a jab there, his short there, farther poking, well, poke with his medium kick, and then his sweep with his heavy kick. And then with his crouching medium punch, it hits forward briefly, and then it hits a little straight up near the last few frames. And then his medium punch, which looks very, very similar to his light punch. Looks like it hits a little less farther than his light punch. Interesting. It does. Wow. So those are your crouching normals, and they'll still look the same too, whether like you're holding down back or just down or down forward. It'll all be the same. Next up is the jumping normals. So our character can do the 6 attack buttons in the air, but also depending on the button used, and also if you're doing it in neutral or diagonally, it can give you a different normal. So for example, Ryu's medium kick, it hits far like that, but if I do it in neutral, it looks completely different. And his heavy kick, it's different. Diagonal, neutral. His light punch is the same. His heavy punch is the same. His medium punch, it can hit twice while an opponent is in the air. I'll show you. It's pretty cool. Whoop. There we go. Oh, they're blocking too. So that can hit twice in the air, but if he does it in neutral, he has a different attack. And that's jumping normals, pretty much. Also, though, not all characters have this too either. It's a cross-up. A cross-up is an attack that you do while jumping over an opponent, but it can still hit them from behind. So for example, that would be Ryu's medium kick, his diagonal medium kick. So this can't be done, well, obviously it couldn't be done in neutral because for a cross-up you have to be jumping over, but anyways, yeah, so watch what happens if I try to hit Ken while jumping over him. You see? The attack, it hits. And it hits because, by the way, that green box around our character, That's the collision box. That's going to prevent us from going through each other. It's going to push us apart. So if you want to know if your character has a cross-up move, you can look up online some information or turn on a hitbox viewer like this and just look for something that hits behind your collision box, and that's how you'll know if it's a cross-up or not. Also, not all cross-ups can allow you to capitalize on some major damage. You know, the cross-up itself, the fact that you hit with it might be the only thing you get out of it. Some characters, the combo opportunity, it might not be good, but for the most part it is pretty nice for characters that do have it. But it's a form of a mix-up. So yeah, not everyone has a cross-up, and you just gotta check and see if you can connect with it afterwards to see if you can gain some more damage. I know Ryu can. So nice little simple 3-hit combo. Or even into super. So that's why cross-ups can be dangerous, because you have to, if you think it's coming, you have to, as soon as your opponent is technically on the other side of you, even though they're still in the air, you want to start holding the opposite direction to block. Like that's Ken's cross-up. But it's not working though, because I'm blocking the opposite way now. Because if I just held back, then it would hit me. So this is like a nice thing to set up to, like after a knockdown, go for a cross-up. Characters will also have a proximity normal or a close normal. So, for example, Ryu's light punch. If I press the same exact button up close, it's going to look different. Let me turn off the hitboxes. So you see he hits him with his elbow. When he's far, it's different. And same for his medium punch. He hits straight out. And then it sort of like hits to the chest when he's up close. His heavy punch sort of swings it up a little bit. His light kick and his medium kick, they're the same though. His heavy kick, that becomes like an axe kick. So 4 out of his 6 normals have a close version. And so it's not just a different look to them either, like solely aesthetic. It'll have its own properties and things too. So that's something else to check in relation to your characters as well. And also of note that not all characters have a close version of certain normals. Some might have more or less than others. Maybe, possibly none. Not that I've seen an example or know of an example, but I'm assuming all characters, more or less, yeah, they have some sort of close normal. Or if not, yeah, very few at the very least. And also something of note is this only applies to standing normals. So crouching light punch is always going to look the same, whether you do it close or far. Medium punch, it's going to be the same. Heavy punch, it's going to be the same. So there's no proximity crouching normals. And then lastly, we have our command normals. Normals where we have to press a direction while inputting the button. So for Ryu, he has his collarbone breaker. So if he presses forward while doing medium punch, he'll do that. So his normal medium punch, his close medium punch. And if I press forward, even though I'm close, he'll still do the collarbone breaker. And he also has his hop kick, which is his medium kick, while holding forward. So it doesn't work while holding a different direction like back. So these will be, they'll have certain boundaries. Like some characters, you have to hold back, or it can be both. So I'll show you some other examples with that. But those are Ryu's proximity normals in Alpha 3 for medium punch and for medium kick. So here I have Guile. He's a good example for command normals because he's got some cool ones. So for his standing heavy punch, he's got that, but up close it hits like that. His medium punch, it hits different too, whether up close or far away. But for example, his light punch and his light kick, it's the same. His medium kick though is actually really cool because he does this rolling sobat. And so that's a command normal that I can do while holding back or forward, and he can travel with it a little bit. So that's nice. I can sort of use it defensively or offensively. And then he has a really cool one on light kick where if he holds back or forward, he can do his bazooka knee. So you see I'm holding back, but I can advance forward also while using this offensive attack. It's very useful. And then for his heavy kick, he has that, and up close it's that. But this is really interesting, and I haven't seen another case where a character has this, but I don't know, there might be. So he has a close proximity normal. So this is his close heavy kick, but if he holds forward or back while pressing heavy kick, he'll do his reverse upside down kick. So that's pretty cool. So I can do that even while holding back up close. But yeah, if I do his heavy kick while holding back or forward from a distance, I can't do it at all. This is a really good normal, by the way, because he's going in, so he can do this after the end of a projectile, like that, for example. But yep, so he has a close proximity normal. Pretty cool. So we talked about all of our normals. Let's talk about our other offensive options, throws. Throws are good because they open up our opponent's defense, especially if they're blocking a lot. Throws can also be used as a mix-up, where we're hitting our opponent up close, especially like with a range of quick attacks, and they're under the impression that they're just going to block a few more, but then you stop your combo string and you just go for a throw. So I'm going to have Ken here. Well, actually, I could just do it this way. Hold on. So now Ken is in a state where he will block everything except for low attacks, because because I'm not making him crouch diagonally to block low, but he will block everything else. But you see, I can walk up to him and throw him after that light sonic boom that I threw. I can walk up on him and throw a sonic boom and throw him. So, but the thing is, and we can also throw people as they're getting up, but that's not, there's some caveats to that, because you literally just can't put someone in an endless literal throw loop, because then the game would be too easy. As soon as you did, then the game would be over, because you could just throw them over again and again and again. So there are some caveats. So for one, you can't throw someone if they're in hit stun. I haven't discussed that yet. Hit stun and block stun. But you can hit them immediately. You can throw them immediately after they exit those states. So right now, Ken is in a state of block stun. But as soon as that's done, he can be thrown. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to record myself for a second, and then I'm going to take control of Ken to show you as the player, if you're on the opposite side of the situation, what can you do to escape this seemingly impossible to escape situation? So let's see. First, let me make him stop moving. Set myself to record. Let's go for that sonic boom setup. Oh, I forgot to record myself. Oh wait, I forgot. I did that at a specific range. Hold on, let me do that from far away. Okay, now let me put myself back there and try that again. So you see, I can jump out of that. You just have to... You're just gonna have to start anticipating it. So, I mean, you can literally just be holding up, and, you know, your character will get out of it when they can get out of it. So, for example... So yeah, I was just ready and holding up. And so while your character in a brief moment, like during block stun or hit stun, you can't do anything. But you can still be like holding a direction, so that way when your character leaves that state, they can do that action. Or let's do a knockdown setup. So you see, that's another caveat with waking up, with the opponent rising from a knockdown. Whoop. So I have to delay the throw much later than I think. Oh yeah, much later. Hold on. Wow. Okay, hold on. Okay, let me try that again. Yeah, so you can see like there's just more than enough time to actually escape out of that. I'm surprised though. I thought it would be... I thought you could go for a throw setup a little sooner. But yeah, I mean, that's put there for the protection of people not to get, like I said, you know, immediately they stand up and then be susceptible to a throw. You have the option to escape a throw. Another thing about throws is they can be teched. A throw tech, at least in this case, is if you think you're about to be thrown in our throne, you can throw yourself too at the same time. Well, do the inputs for a throw, I mean. So that way it softens it. So you see, when I throw Ken, he just has that hard knockdown right there. But, well, actually, let me have Ken throw me. Wait, can I not? Really? I thought that was a thing, though. Am I doing it wrong? Oh, okay. I have to do it, like, way sooner than I thought. Yeah, so... Oh, I threw him. So, yeah. If you think you're gonna be thrown, if you time it, like, early enough, you can get out of it, mash it, do whatever. You know, if it works, it works. But yeah, so did I explain how to do throws? I've been rambling for a while now. I'm not sure if I did, but for these older games, yeah, you just hold either the medium or the heavy button of a punch or kick. It can differ with some games while holding forward or back, and you can do a throw that way. So if I hold forward and medium punch, he'll do his forward throw. If I hold back and medium punch, he'll do his back throw. So this is good if I want to throw someone into the corner, or say I'm in the corner, so I want to throw them in the corner. I could do that. And then Gao, he has a different throw on his heavy punch, but same thing though. I either hold forward or back. And then for air throws, let me have Ken jump. So throws in the air work the same way as they do on the ground. So as soon as you jump, if you think you're going to be in the same area as the opponent, just throw them. So like if I throw a sonic boom and they jump over that, I can throw them. And air throws too, we can hold the other direction and I can throw them behind me. And Guile, he also has one for his for heavy kick. He has that drop. And with medium kick as well, it'll do that same drop. So this is nice because, you know, like I can come down with this heavy kick, but if your opponent manages to jump up with you and during that time you're putting out that heavy kick, you'll just get the throw instead. Of course, if you're like adjacent to each other. So yeah, that still matters. So the part about teching throws. So while teching in this case means softening the blow and for you to be able to land on your feet, reduce damage of the throw. Teching in other games basically means to escape. And I'll show you a quick example of that too. Because in a lot of games, especially the modern ones now, you can just completely escape throws if you time it correctly. Okay, so here I am playing Third Strike, a game where teching means to escape the throw. So I'm gonna have Ken grab me. And then so you see our command histories on both sides. We both did the same thing. So he tried to throw me, and I teched the throw. So Well, I threw him that time. Tech. Throw. Tech. So yeah, there's stuff like that. And that's it. But with a lot of the newer games, you throw by holding 2 buttons together and forward or back. So Ryu, you see in this game, in Alpha 3, and all the newer modern ones like Street Fighter 4, 5, 6, they all have this whiff animation now when trying to grab. So grabbing is now a commitment in this game because, like you saw in Street Fighter 2 when I was using Guile, if I didn't get the throw, like using Guile's medium punch, in this case, I would just get the normal. So it doesn't work that way. Now I either have to commit to a normal or a throw. And if I miss the throw, then I get that whiffing animation. And maybe an opponent, they might be able to hit me or do something for missing that. So it's a little bit of a risk. A little bit. But sure enough, throwing. Also, I forgot to mention that aside from the normal throws that everyone else has, like Zangief, he has a few throws. This is his heavy punch. This is his heavy kick. And his medium kicks. So that's already just 4 standing throws. And that's also not counting his crouching stuff either. If he's crouching while up close and pressing medium punch. What I did want to mention is there's also command throws. So throws that you must input a command in order to do. So in Zangief's case, he has to do a 360 motion. Throws like that, anything that says command throw, that cannot be teched or escaped from. That's just a matter of if you're not in a state of hit stun or block stun and you're in that range, then it's over. Yeah. So that cannot be softened or something like that cannot be escaped from. So that doesn't mean there aren't situations to get out of it, but they just can't be teched like normal throws. That's all. So we talked about our offensive options. Well, most of them. But I want to go back to our defensive options a little more before I proceed. So in regards to blocking, I did say that we hold back to block. And that for cross-ups, that as soon if we think it's coming and we see it coming, that we have to start blocking for the other side. That way we don't get tricked and hit. But we have 2 guard states when we're on the ground: our standing block and our crouching block. Both are important. Most of the time when you're on the ground, you do want to be crouching low because things can get at your feet. Someone can just low poke you. But there's also things to worry about you need to block high for. Specifically, and I'll show you here. So with Ken, I'm going to have him do that classic combo. So see, as soon as he tries to hit me with that jumping kick, which I have more than enough time, and you should too as well, to react and block high, I want to immediately start blocking low. So you can change your guard state immediately after that kick connects. So you see, and I block that. This is what happens if I just guard low while that kick is coming towards me. I eat that whole combo. So all attacks in the air, they're going to hit high. Doesn't matter if you're using any sort of kick or punch, you have to block high for these. But then afterwards, you want to start blocking low, because most of the times, not always, they will hit you with a low or a mid. And a mid is an attack that can be blocked high or low. So most of our attacks, they fall in the mid category. But you just might as well block low. That way you can block all those mids and also block the lows. So, but as far as the highs, so we know about these overheads and cross-ups, like I mentioned earlier, actually. But there's also attacks on the ground that can hit you high exclusively. So I think this can have... That looks like an overhead. So yeah, that hits high. It's very, very slow, but that's another point I want to make. Overheads on the ground, they usually have a longer startup time than most of the characters' moves, like Ryu's collarbone breaker, which I showed off earlier. That must be blocked high, so let me make Ken block. So you see, he can block all my other stuff. My medium punch, my sweeps, but he can't block the jump-ins or this. He can get hit by that. So there's a decent amount of time to react to that. So it's something you have to be prepared for. But something I should note is not every character has an overhead attack. In this game, in Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, everyone has a universal overhead. That collarbone breaker isn't as a universal overhead. It's in this game, it's pressing the medium punch and medium kick buttons together. The characters, they do this hot move, and then they do some normal in the air with it. So that too is an overhead. So everybody in this game has some universal overhead. But that's just something in this game. But for something like the collarbone breaker, yeah, other characters, his command normal, they might not have a normal like that. And it usually is a command normal that is the overhead, by the way. So yeah. And as far as trying to jump in and combo with it, I can't, because the startup is so high. The opponent is not in a big enough window of hit stun for me to actually put that into a combo. For a genuine combo, that should show up as 3 hits. So watch. You see, I can't do it. Even though I'm hitting as deep as possible, I cannot do it. So I can't combo before this or after this. But it still has its uses though. So like after something like a sweep, you could go for an overhead. Or, you know, go for a jump in or something. But yeah, it's up to you, you know. So before I forget to, when it comes to guarding, as long as you're holding back, even if an attack doesn't make contact with you, your character will go into what is called proximity guard or proximity block. So you see Ken's walking backwards, and I just walked up on him with Zangief. So see, because Ken's blocking my hits. In this game, in Street Fighter 2, like that can, even though I'm so far away, you can sort of exploit that. But in the newer games, it can differ. It's not as strong, but that's just to let you know the name of that. So when your character is blocking, even though it hasn't hit, it's proximity block. So blocking is important because it reduces the damage that we take. We receive something called chip damage. Although that's not the case for all Street Fighter games. So like in this game, in Alpha 3, or in Street Fighter 3, you don't take any chip damage from normals. See? Ken isn't losing any health. His guard meter's going down, but that's different. I mean, it's still dangerous for him, but he's not losing any vitality just from me poking at him like that. But special moves, they will do chip damage in this case. But that's still way better than just taking raw damage, like I just did to him with that sweep, because I have him standing guard and not crouching. So it all makes a difference. Chip damage, it becomes concerning when your health is about that big, because a lot of things can kill you. Like a super move, for example, which does a decent amount of chip damage. So you definitely don't want to be in a situation like that. So you always want to guard attacks when you can. So now that we've gone over our normal moves and our throws, it's time to go over our special moves, because they're just as important. Every character, they have a few, some a little more than others, but at the least, every character has at least a few. Karen, I'm using her for this example because she has actually a lot of different inputs that she can do. But I'm not going to be showing off every character's special move because that would take forever. Instead, I'm going to show you the inputs that they use, because there's not that many inputs that are shared across all of these fighters. Like Karen, she has quarter circle forward. But Ken also, even though his special moves look different, he still uses the quarter circle forward input for his fireball, for example, or for Ryu. Quarter circle forward. Even though for Karen, it gives her that. Completely different move, but the same input. So the character special moves are important because they'll be something in relation to either controlling the vertical space, so the jumping space, or something to do with horizontal control, something on the ground like that. So yeah, starting with the most basic common input that you'll see in so many of these games is the quarter circle forward, which we do by going down, down forward, and forward. And then as soon as you hit forward, you either press punch or kick, depending on what character you're using. It might call for a different button. In Karen's case, it needs to end with punch. So we got to do those 4 things for the special move to come out. Down, down, forward, forward, punch. But it also has to be at a specific time. Because you see, I can do this. Down, down, forward, forward, punch. It doesn't come out. So there's a certain time frame that we have to do these moves. We have to do them just fast enough for them to come out like that. You see, that's about, yeah, as fast as you need to do stuff. Because just in case you're wondering, like, does the game give you a giant window for, like, to do all of the inputs? Thankfully, no. Instead, how the game checks for inputs is it's always checking for input actually in each frame. So what the game does is, here, I'll show you. Actually, let me go to, whoop. Let me show the numbers here. So you see my input history on the left, and you see the numbers next to the arrows for the example. The yellow numbers show how many frames I spent holding that particular button. So you see, to do her quarter circle forward, that was like 1, 2, 3, 4, so 4 frames. So, but you know, starting from the down motion, after you hit down, the game, it keeps track of your inputs for a little bit. It's not going to exceed past the double digits. I'm not sure exactly for how long the game keeps track of the frames in this game in relation to special moves, but it's definitely going to be under the double digits, so not going past 10 frames or anything like that. I would assume so. So it'll check for a few frames, and if you press down forward, it keeps note of that you press down, and you press down forward, so the timer starts again. And if you press forward, it keeps track of those 3. And so as long as you keep, so you can, there's like a minimum amount of time and a maximum amount of time you can in order to fulfill a special move. Or you can sort of prolong it, kind of make it lenient, or you can do it quick as possible. Well, if you can. I mean, if you can do it, you can do it, but yeah. That's basically how the game checks for inputs. It's always checking for inputs. But if you take too long, it's not going to give it to you. So continuing on, we also have quarter circle back, which is just like quarter circle forward, except backwards. And so she has a move. It's not offensive in particular. She goes into a defensive position, and if an enemy hits her while she's like that, high or low, then they'll be put into a counter state. So yeah, though, that's the quarter circles. They're the most common input you'll see in this game. Next is the Z motion. This is done by tapping forward, letting the stick go to neutral, and then you go down and down forward, and then you press either punch or kick. Once again, depending on what the character's input calls for. So in Karen's case, she actually has 2 different moves that she can use for this, where the motion is the same, but she can end it on punch or kick, and it'll give a different result. Oh yes, also, by the way, I should also say this now before I get too deep into this. Depending on what strength button you use to end your special move with is going to change what version of the special move you get. So technically you have 3 by default, your light, medium, and your heavy versions. So for example, for that the start of her little Rekka chain that she has here, if I hit it with light punch, it's slow. If I hit it with medium punch, it's a little faster. And then heavy, it's the fastest. So you can already see the difference between the light version and the heavy version, which is very important to mix it up when you're using special moves and to understand when to use what. So the strength, it's always going to alter a special move's either its speed or its distance. So yeah, yes, the Z motion. So yeah, Z motion, tap forward and then down forward, down and down forward. So just also to make sure it's not forward and then you hold the diagonal. Like down must be a separate input from down forward. So, whoops. So yeah, if you get a quarter circle version of the move, it just means like you messed up the input, or you basically messed it up. That happens. So there we go. She has one for punch, and then she has one for kick. This motion gives a lot of people trouble. It gave me like a little bit of trouble, not too much, but it is definitely one of the weirder feeling motions, but it's one of those things where once you get it, you get it. So she has, for the light kick version, medium, and then heavy, traveling the farthest. And then she also has one going backwards too, a backward Z motion. She has this little elbow bump. And so her stuff affects her speed for all these moves. And the distance, really. The next input we have is half circle forward. So it's sort of like doing a quarter circle forward, except now we're just starting from the back. And we're just rolling the stick down and going back to forward. So we're doing half a circle. And with that, we'll get Dalsim's Yoga Flame. Wait, that was Yoga Fire. That was Yoga Fire. Wait, am I even doing the right input? There we go. Gotta make sure I hit all the directions here. So yeah, because he does have a quarter circle forward for his Yoga Fire. But then his Yoga Flame, that's gotta be, yeah. And there you have it. Next we have the 360 motion, or some people, they call it the SPD in reference to this character he was the first character who had that move, that input, the 360 motion, so it's named after his spinning pile driver. So it's important to note that you don't actually have to do a full 360 to do this command throw that he has, or command grab. The only thing that the game cares about is if we touched all of the cardinal directions. And we can go in any order either. But what we can't do is do something like forward, back, down, up, and then try to grab them. That's not going to work. So we have to either spin the stick clockwise or counterclockwise to do it. So the diagonals don't matter at all. It just matters that we touched all of the cardinal directions once. So in this case, I'm going to start with forward. I'm going to spin the stick, make sure I hit down, and then back, and then finish with up. And if I do it correctly, I'll get the grab. So you see. And even though I'm pressing up, he's not going to jump because I've pressed the attack button, and he's going to commit to the special move, so he won't jump. Well, I screwed up that time. Okay, so yeah. And he also has one for kick, too. He has his running bear. Whoops. So he has two SPD motions that he can use. One for punch, one for kick. But also the good thing about this motion is we can start it from any direction. So for example, when I was talking about how the way that the game keeps track of the inputs for a little bit, we can use that leniency for some things. And for example, for this, I'll show you. So if we start the 360 motion with the up button first and say, and go counterclockwise, so we hit back, down, and then forward, we can take advantage of the leniency, and at that last input, we can walk forward a little bit before committing to the final button press. So that way, we can maximize our grab range a little bit, right? So how do we do that without jumping? We can hide the start of the input behind a normal. So for example, this light punch right here. Okay. As I'm pressing the light punch, I'm going to start already holding up and then just doing the rest of the motion and walking forward a little bit. And yeah, let's see. Whoops. I didn't even like really walk. So you see I walked just a teeny bit. Okay, maybe it's not all. I'm going to show you a big difference that you can see more clear. Hold on. So the next motion is the, well, I just call it the dragon, or not the dragon, the tiger knee motion in reference to a different character whose the input originated with. It's like doing a quarter circle forward, except we're also going up forward, and then yeah, I guess either punch or kick depending on the character. But Karen, she has a tiger knee motion, which is that. So you see my input history on the left. We started from down, forward, forward, and then just up, forward, and kick. So it's a very smooth sort of motion. It's not something that you want to wait for your character to leave the air to do, because it's too late. It's something you have to do on the ground, so you got to make sure you're still speedy about it. So she's got that move. Okay, I'm going to show you this SPD microwalk thing with Karen. It's also really beneficial for her because she has a fast walk speed in general. That's not to say that Zangief doesn't benefit from what I'm going to show you at all or anything like that. Of course he would, but this will help illustrate the point even more. So Karen, she has a 360 motion. She has a command grab. Whoops. It looks like that. But all the same rules still apply on how to do it. We can start from any direction as long as we touch all the cardinal directions. Do it clockwise or counterclockwise, doesn't matter. So with just being able, for example, let's have Ken blocking actually first. Okay. I'm gonna hit Ken with my medium punch, and then after that, I'm going to walk up and attempt to command grab him. So I'm gonna start my input from up, and then start going counterclockwise, go back, down, and then micro walk a little bit forward, taking advantage of the input leniency. This can't be done for very long, though. We're talking about a matter of frames. So it's not like a full second or something. It's going to be a little shorter than that. But let's see. So you see, I was able to grab him. And that's the idea behind this. So because I can still do the same thing, like without the micro walk, I could just press medium punch, walk up, grab him. but that takes just slightly a little longer. Even though this can still be done really quick. Whoops. You can, because as soon as my normal is done, I can start the motion. So when my character is done recovering from her attack, the motion is being done in parallel. So at that point, all I have to do is just press one button, and that's it. And also, if I don't do that micro walk, this is what happens. You see? So that's the whole purpose of that. This isn't to replace like any different way you can do the 360. Like there'll still be a time where you'll just do it from forward or from back and just do it that way. It's not to replace. This is just to add another tool in your arsenal for characters who use a SPD motion like this, because you can, after whiffing a normal like this is what we call a whiffed normal. Wait, did I explain that part already? I don't know, I've rambled for so much now, but just in case, like whenever a normal doesn't connect with anything, that's a whiff, right? um we can start the motion from that and micro walk a little bit, right? So you see, like, look how much range I can go. Like, I'm not going to grab him from here, but just to show you, like, let me put myself all the way to the back here, and let's just see how far I can go before I lose that input leniency. So you see her foot got, let's use that green sign in the background. Like the middle of her foot, it stopped there where the pillar of that green sign is at. So let's see if we can go a little farther than that. Okay, a little farther. So it's like her heel is in the middle part of the of that pillar. 360 motions, am I right? Oh, okay, so that's probably the farthest I'll be able to take it. So her foot was pretty much, her heel is past that green pillar. And that was just for a whiff normal. So that's about as far as you can walk with something like that. Which is still really, really good, because like I said, it's just at that point, it's just a one button press. And if they're out of range or something, if they move, well then yeah, nothing will happen though. The move won't connect, but you know, you don't have to commit to the button press and get even the whiff animation then to come out. I mean, like if they move out of range. Yeah. So this is nice to use also as a form of a mix-up. You hit an enemy with a normal, it, you know, they're blocking, you can just go up for a command grab like that. It's no different from going from a normal grab, but now you have something like that for your command grabs as well, if you're up close, because yeah, like if you're too far, then yeah. And also you need to take account of whether you're starting it from a whiffed move or a move that hits, because obviously if the move is whiffing, it's fast. You see? Like, you see, this is like fast, sort of. But when a move connects with an opponent, whether blocked or whiff, I mean, no, that doesn't make any sense. Whether hit, because you can also still do this. This still applies for a character whether hit or blocked. It's both. But the point is, if they are hit or blocked, that animation, the duration lasts for a little longer. So you need to delay when you start the up motion, hold it for a little bit before you start and going to the back, the down, and then the forward and the punch or kick, depending on the character, right? So yeah, that's pretty cool. So here we have a special move that involves having to tap a single button in order to make the special come out. There's a couple characters who have this, like Chun-Li, she has one for her kicks where you mash kick. Blanca has one where you mash punch. Like here, E Honda, he has one for mashing punch, his 100 hand slap. So this input's interesting because you have to tap like a button for the version you want a certain amount of times during a certain time frame for it to come out. So I guess it's like 5 times in a certain time frame. I'm not sure on the exact details of this special, but yeah, so it's like starting with the light punch version. You see, he's stationary there, and then for medium he does that, and then his heavy version travels a little farther. But yep, that's tapping. And then there's also a special move that might involve holding all 3 punches or kicks together. So Zangief, he has his lariat, for example. So he has 2 versions of that. If I hold, if I press all 3 punch buttons, he spins around. It looks like 3 times. And then if I do the kick version, he spins around like twice. Or I don't know, maybe that's 3 times and this is like 4. But yeah. So he has one where he spins for a while, and then he has one where he spins for a little bit. The next type of special move is a very unique across the Street Fighter games. Not that other non-Capcom, which is the developers who made Street Fighter, that they're the only ones who use this, at least I don't think, but yes, it's very interesting. Think of it as the manual stick shift of the special moves of these games. Some people just hate it, having to deal with the clutch. Anyways, but it helps save gas. Anyways, so the thing about charge move characters like Guile here, he's like the archetypal classic charge character. In this game, in Street Fighter 2, he's the only character that just retained his 2 special moves. Like in the original World Warrior, everyone had like their few special moves, but then as the upgrades, Capcom made revisions to the game. Some characters, they got new moves. Guile, he stayed the same. So for me, he's just one of those classic, fundamentally tight characters. I honestly don't know what else you could have given him anyways. I mean, Capcom did give him like his Sonic Blade and stuff later, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, his fundamentals are very, very strong. But some people might not like the idea that he's a charge character, but we're gonna get over that hill right now. So the way charge moves work, let's start with a back charge. Like when we think of a charge, like a battery charge, we need to hold a direction for a certain amount of time in order to actually charge our special move so that we may use it. So right now I'm holding back. We can see Guile moving back. So any move where it says charge back, it means you finish the move by pressing forward and then pressing, once again, depending on the character, punch or kick. In this case, Guile, it's going to be punch. That's his projectile, the sonic boom. So see what happens if I just press back and then forward? Nothing. What if I press back for a little bit and then forward? Nothing happens. What if I hold back for a little more? Nothing happens. A little bit more. Nothing happens. Okay, a little bit more. Nothing happens. A little bit more. So he has to accumulate his charge over a period of time. In fact, it's coded into the game. There's a specific amount of frames, and it's about a second. That's a general way to put it, because it does slightly differ from game to game, these charge moves, but it's about a second to do the charge. And the good thing about back charges is we can maintain them. So for example, if I hold down back, even though I'm crouching, I'm not moving, I'm still holding back. So I can stay here for as long as I like, even though it wouldn't be ideal. And at any time I want to, I can do my forward punch from my sonic boom. Because I've held a charge, it won't disappear. See? The charge will only disappear if you let go of back and you did nothing with the charge during that small leniency period, because the leniency that I was talking about in relation to the special moves earlier, it applies to all of this. So he can do like maybe just a smidgen of a microwalk and throw his sonic boom. So that's the game showing that you have enough time, obviously, to throw out the boom, because if your charge disappeared on frame 1 or whatever, as soon as you let go of back, it'd be impossible to do the move. So, and the good thing about this is we can also hold it while in the air. So out of all the 3 back buttons, up, back, just normal, neutral back, down, back, I can move or stay stationary and hold a back charge the whole time. So that's the good thing about that. But something else, Guile's command normal, his bazooka knee, which propels him forward, which I don't know if you saw or maybe skipped ahead, but I'll go over a little bit again now. So talking about characters' command normals, how his bazooka knee is a special light kick normal, where if I press light kick as is, that comes out, but if I press forward or back, that bazooka knee comes out. So even though I'm holding back, it still propels him forward. It's a very unique command normal. And so the good thing about this is I can move around the field while maintaining a charge. Right? Because I can't just walk up forward, you know, like walk up like this and then expect a sonic boom from there. So if I'm like right here and I just want to inch in a little closer, I can do that. I can do the sonic boom there. And I can use that in combination with his rolling kick. I can move back. So even if you're doing other actions while holding a charge, you can hold the charge. Like I said before, as long as you're holding back, it doesn't matter what your character is doing on screen. If your character gets knocked down, if they get hit, you can hold the charge. The only time you're not holding the charge is if you let go of the button and you haven't done anything with the special in that, in those few frames that you have in order to press forward punch, or if your opponent jumps over you, which is another thing. So I'm going to show you now via an example that it is possible to hold a back charge while someone jumps over you. You don't have a whole lot of time. It's a matter of a handful of frames to actually use it. So I'm just going to show you that it is possible. So I'm going to be holding down back. And then as soon as Ken gets over me, not waiting for when he lands on the ground, because by that time it'll be too late. I need to get ready to finish when he's sort of like close to hitting the ground, but yeah, not really, but I'll show you here. So you see like right around there, because if I wait longer, I'll show you. See? Doesn't come out. Whoops, that was a jump. So you can hold a back charge briefly if someone jumps over you. So can you hold a back charge as you're crossing someone up? You absolutely can. So I will show you. So as soon as I jump forward, I'm going to be holding down forward at the start of my jump to get ready for that cross up. Because as soon as I get over Ken, it's going to turn into a down back just by itself. So, and then I still have to, as I'm hitting the ground, I'm going to do 2 light punches, because then by that time I should have accumulated enough, because I definitely don't have enough just to like this, like land on the other side and sonic boom. No way. It's just not enough time. It's not feasible. Even with the cross up or something. No. So let me try this. So yeah, like that. There we go. 4 hits. So at least in this game, or maybe in another, it might be like 2 hits at the very least to accumulate a back charge if you go over someone with a cross up. And the other kind of charge move that we have is a down charge. So for Guile, he has his flash kick. So it's the exact same things I just talked about with a back charge, except down. So he can hold the down charge with down back, just down, or down forward, and he doesn't lose it. And then whenever it's ready, I just have to press up forward and then kick. And he'll do his flash kick. And he has more than enough time to charge another one while he's recovering from the last one. See? And the good thing about down charges is during a cross up, since you're just holding down and cross ups don't matter, whether you're crossing them up or your opponent's trying to jump over you, you're going to maintain the down charge. So for example, let me have Ken jump over me. Well, I didn't hit him, but yeah, there we go. So I held that. There's no tight timing on that at all. It's just whenever I feel like he can be hit, when I'm ready, I can do it. If I try to cross him up, bam. Classic Guile combo right there. Or forward. And that's it. So you can start charging as soon as you're in the air. As soon as you press up to commit your character to jumping, you can start holding down so that by the time you land on the ground, you should have a charge ready. In fact, you can even do a standing attack, which is a little hard to do. It's not really practical, but it's just to show you how much time you have to work with, that it's actually entirely possible. So I'm going to jump in the air, and as soon as I leave the ground, I'm going to immediately start holding down, hit Ken with a jumping heavy kick, and then as soon as I feel like Guile's about to touch the ground, I'm going to go up and press his heavy punch, his close heavy punch, which can be canceled into moves, a special move. It's really, really good. And then after that, not a second later, press the kick button as I'm going up to do the flash kick. So, whoops, that was crouching heavy. Nope. There we go. I'm not used to this speed. It's a little slow for me, actually. So there we go. It's actually not as hard as it might seem, but it's just to show you that it is possible to have that down charge ready. So it's easier. It's very easy to maintain a down charge in the air because you don't have to worry about directions. But with the back directions, yeah, it's a little bit of a different story. And that takes care of charge moves. Something else I should mention though too is about negative edge. Now, what negative edge is, it's something that the developers put just to help us with our special moves, to make them come out, to make it less strict. So what negative edge is that a special move can come out even during a button's release. So like once again for Guile's Sonic Boom, charge back and then forward punch. So watch what happens if I hold heavy punch, right? And I'm moving while holding heavy punch. You see how the game is still showing the red, the P for heavy punch while I'm moving around. So the game knows I'm holding heavy punch. If I let go of heavy punch, nothing happens. I just let go of heavy punch. Now I could do this for any button. I could do this for all 3 buttons. Nothing happens. So this doesn't affect normals. This only affects special moves and super moves. So what this means is, since I'm holding heavy punch again, I'm gonna hold a charge. And you see I got his Sonic Boom on release. Now, what can you do with this information? I don't know. You know, it's something, like I said, the developers put in order to help players in getting their special moves out, so that maybe they didn't get it on the actual input itself, but they got the special on release or whatever. So, but some players, they do try to use that to their advantage, like pro players, like just players who really want to get deep into it, but certain characters might benefit off of something like that more. You just have to ask yourself, is there a situation where I wouldn't want my normal to come out, but I want the special to come out? May not worry about a whiff normal and I just get my special move coming out on release. I don't know. That's something for you to mess with. I myself, I don't make an intentional use of negative edge for something. I just don't have any need for it. But maybe for a specific character, for a specific game, just keep that in mind that this exists in all of the games. So maybe you might be able to put in some extra use for that. Oh, I almost forgot. As soon as I was leaving the charge section, talking about the back and the down charges. So holding down back, it counts as you holding a charge for both. I mean, I guess that technically should be obvious because when I was talking about the back charge, I did say if you were holding down back, it counted. And when talking about the down charge, that, yeah, it's so. But yes, so this is good because if I'm in this naturally defensive position where I'm holding a down back, I can have access to, yeah, either of the moves, depending on what happens. If the opponent is far away, I can just Sonic Boom. But if they're gonna jump to me or something, I can just have the flash kick ready. And then, of course, as I'm doing the flash kick, I can already have a Sonic Boom charge ready. Right? But I also want to talk about charge buffering. So, once again, taking advantage of the leniency. The game cares about you pressing the right inputs in the right in the limited time frame that you have to work with in order for the special move to come out, right? So a cool thing you can do is you can maximize charge time by using this charge buffer. And what it is you do the special move like you would, so forward, but you don't do punch on forward. Instead, you go forward and you immediately go to back and you press punch while you're pressing back. So that way, the game still counts that you did the special move, you did the forward, you held the charge, and you did it all in the time frame. So the game allows you to have the special move. But since you're also holding back, you're allowing yourself to have to get a head start on your next charge. So you see my input history there to the left. So you see in the gray diagonal, holding down and then going up a little more, we see the forward input, but then you see I press punch on back, but the sonic boom still came out. So I'm already starting my next sonic boom. So that's something pretty cool. Charge buffering. So now that we talked about our normals, our throws, our special moves, let us talk about the ultimate moves, our most powerful moves, our super moves. Most of the Street Fighter games, the CPS1 Street Fighter games, they didn't have super moves yet, but as soon as a super Street Fighter 2 came out or whatever, it introduced the super moves. So every character in that game had one super move, and it's been a staple ever since. And even some games you have multiple supers, like in the Alpha series. I think that was the first time where characters they had 2 or even 3. So Ryu, he has 3 super moves. So I'm gonna go over, once again, I'm not gonna go over everyone's super moves like I did not go over everyone's special moves. I'm just gonna show you the inputs that you'll see that are shared throughout all these characters. That you'll see mostly shared throughout these characters. So starting with the most common one, which is the double quarter circle forward super. So if you could do the quarter circle forward, you're just doing a second one. But it's very important that you hit all 6 of those directional buttons. So down, forward, forward twice. Because if you're off and one of those are missing, the super won't come out. So yeah. So in this case, for his Shinku Hadoken, we do it twice and it comes out. And that's all there is to it. We can do it on the other side. Whoops. And there's also double quarter circle back. So in this case, he has this super hurricane kick. But also as the games progressed, they did make super moves a little bit lenient. In fact, there's actually some leniency, at least in relation to some super moves here. But yeah, this is a very picky choosy situation. Like, for example, for Ryu Shinku Hadoken, you have to do, like the input history shows, that down, the diagonal, the forward twice, and then punch, right? But for his other two supers, they can actually end in down forward. It doesn't have to end on forward. So, for example, for the super hurricane kick, I could do down, 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 back, and then starting the other loop, down, and then down, back, and then kick, and the super will still come out. So you see, I press the kick on the down back. And then it's the same for his super shoryuken. Well, I ended that one on forward, but there we go. That ended in down forward. So it's double quarter circle forward kick. But the game, it doesn't tell you this actually. Like if you look at the command lists for Ryu's move and stuff like that, a lot of the inputs, it shows double quarter circle forward, which it'll still give you the move, but yes, there is some leniency on some super moves. But and like with Street Fighter 3, that's another case where I think actually all of the super moves you can use there, even though they show up as the inputs as double quarter circle forward, they can end the second one in down forward. So in cases like that, the game just cares that you did one of the quarter circle forwards normally. With the other one, it can end in down forward. Me, myself, I just go ahead and just try to do the move without any sort of shortcut, because the thing is, without even knowing it, especially with a lot of these modern games, you could develop a habit for getting used to doing the super with the shortcuts, so that when you go back to these older titles where some of these shortcuts for some of these supers don't exist, now for the first time ever, you might have trouble pulling off the move because you're pressing the button too early and it's not giving you the super move because you missed that second forward. So my thing is, with games with input, with shortcuts, you should always just try to do the full input. If the game allows you to get the shortcut because you messed up, then that's okay. But you should just always try to do the full input. It's just better that way, and it'll hurt a lot less when going back to these older legacy games. Next we have the 720. So like the 360, we don't have to worry about the diagonals. The only thing the game cares about that we touch the cardinal's direction, except this time 2 times. So we have to hit each cardinal direction twice. So spinning the stick in a circle, but with not that much emphasis on the diagonals because we don't care about those. We can skip those. So how do we do this without jumping? Because as soon as I even just spin the stick one time, he jumps. Because I can stop him from jumping if I press the attack button for his normal command grab. But how do we do this twice? Well, we can do this while performing actions. So by buffering the move, basically. So performing the motion of the super move while you're performing another action. Basically like the example I was showing with Karen. Wait, no, forget that. My brain's not working right now. Okay, scratch that. No. So, but we could do it in a couple ways, actually. Let's say, take control of Ken here. Make him do a fireball, right? Let's say I'm avoiding his fireballs, trying to get in, and whammo. So you can do the 360 in the air. I mean, you can do not just his super move, any special move for any character, as long as you don't have to worry about the charge time, you can perform like pretty much most of it in the air. So that way, as you're hitting the ground, and you can just press a button for the special or the super, right? So yeah, so even for, I mean, I don't know, like, well, I guess I could see why you would really, but yeah, so that can be applied to his normal grab as well. But yeah, so, but yeah, sure enough. So see, something like that. But why limit ourselves there? We can do stuff on the ground. So he has this little headbutt here. It can actually hit. It's a little bit janky. But sure enough, so... Well, there we go. Or maybe his green hand. Advancing forward. He advances himself forward a little bit when he does his green hand. My god. Oh, well, that was a normal SPD. Let's go for the real thing. There we go. So the next super move we have is double half circle forward. And so, of course, Dalsim, he's the only one with that super move, super motion in this game. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. So that'll end with punch. Whoops. There we go. I think for the most part, they changed that super input, because I can't think of another game where I saw a double half circle super, but maybe someone else can tell me different. I mean, not that I know of, because I know for Dalsim, for a lot of his super stuff in later games, it just became a normal double quarter circle forward. So I don't think you'll have to worry really too much about double half circles in general, for other games. So next is the charge supers. So I'll be using Charlie here as an example because he has both different types. So I'm going to start with the back super first. So if you saw my parts with charge moves and guile, a lot of that can be well, sort of applied here, you know, with just the idea of holding a charge, for example. So for I'm gonna do is crossfire blitz. With the back charges, you're gonna hold back for about a second, you know, and then when you've accumulated enough charge, you're gonna go forward, back, forward, and then punch or whatever kick, depending on the character. But I'm gonna do is crossfire blitz, so that ends in kick. So yeah, well, let's just do the super first. So it's like you're just doing a quick back forth motion, and then ending that forth with whatever button. But something else is we don't have to do the motion while standing. The game counts if we do the down motion. So if we start charging with down back, we have our charge ready, we can go down forward, down back, and then finish with forward. We have to finish with forward because this is what happens if we end in down forward. Nothing happens. So we end in forward. So this is good if you're doing a combo low to the ground. You can use that, the down back, down forward, down back, and then finish with forward. And then the other super that we have is the delta motion, in reference to the delta symbol that it looks like. So the way it's done is you're going to hold down back. So this is a unique charge move because you have to hold down back. It is not the down charge super move. There is no down charge super move. So it has to be done by holding down back. And from down back, you're going to go down forward, down back, and then any of the up buttons and kick. If you look at the symbol for it, like in a manual or something, the icon, it's showing basically like a crooked L, showing that like it's going up, forward, and kick. But you can finish on any of the up buttons and it'll still count. I always like to go up back because it just feels the most natural coming from down back. So you're going from down back and then finishing with up back. So I like to do it that way. So here's the motion though. A good way to think about it is you're just going for the corners. That's basically what you're doing. It's a very easy super to do. Down back, down forward, down back, up, back, or up forward kick. So, whoops. Just trying to show you up forward kick. But yeah, see? Another up forward. Whoops. There we go. So that's the delta motion. Yeah, that takes care of charge supers. So next we have a very, very unique super input, which is mostly associated pretty much with Akuma. There's a few other characters though in the Street Fighter universe that have it. Is his Raging Demon input. And that input is unique because you use a combination of different face buttons and one directional button. So the way it's done is you press light punch twice, then you press forward, you just tap forward, and then light kick, and then heavy punch. So you do that in quick succession, and you'll get this. And voila, Raging Demon. You can also do this move while crouching. So, for example, you do just the same exact input, except instead of forward, you do down forward. So you see the input history. I didn't go forward at all. So this is an input that you can do while also crouching if for some reason you want to crouch. The move can also be buffered in the air, so by the time you land, you could do it that way too. Could do that, or maybe you want to set up a teleport. I think he can teleport like this. Yeah, he uses the Z motion for teleporting. So by the time he's done from the teleport, you could go into Raging Demon from that or something. Or if someone's like pursuing you, you teleport backwards, you do Raging Demon, and blah blah blah. So there's a bunch of different setups that you can do. So that's pretty cool. So now that we covered our normals, our throws, our specials, our supers, we're getting almost there on what it means to really play this game. But it's time to dig a little deeper, which is frame data. Talking about what is going on in any given particular frame of the game, or any of our of our attack properties. I've mentioned the word properties a couple of times in this video. So this is the part of the video where we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty of what that even means, properties. Because we can only tell so much with our eyes, right? I showed some stuff off with the hitboxes earlier. That tells us, you know, a part of the story. Frame data gives us the rest of that. So these games, like majority of fighting games in general, they run at 60 frames per second. So as one real-time second goes by, 60 frames in the game has passed. It's just very, very quick. And when we look at Ryu's light punch here, you know, just to our eyes, we just see these two distinctive shapes of him raising his arm and then extending it out for the punch. It just seems like a blurb. It is very fast. But we can slow it down and see what's going on exactly in this fraction of a second. Because even the punch in real time, it just goes by so quick. So if we go frame by frame, I press the punch button, and then 1, 2, 3. And then on the 4th frame, the active frame comes out, 2, 3. And then he recovers. So those are the 3 phases of an attack broken down frame by frame. We have our startup phase, which is how many frames does it take to get to the active part of our attack. And the active part is that red box, is the part that can actually hurt the opponent, because during the startup, as we see here, for those first few couple of frames, nothing is happening to Ken. But then as soon as the active frame comes out, then he gets hurt. And so a couple of things happen. My opponent is put in a state of hit stun. What is hit stun? Hit stun is that. It is when I successfully hit someone and my opponent is reeling back, unable to do anything. I'm unable to do anything for a brief moment too, because I'm still recovering from my attack. But after I hit them with something successfully, they're able not to do anything for longer because they're in hit stun. Now, while this is true in general, not every successive attack actually yields a benefit to you, but that's a very rare occasion and something we'll get into. Now, if an opponent blocks, they'll be put in a state of block stun. So you see I reel back a little farther with this strong punch, and I'm still recovering from the move like normal. But for my opponent, the outcome can be a little different. They're in block stun. So, like I said, we can only tell so much from our eyes. So that's when frame data can become useful. So let us pull up the Super Wiki, the Super Combo Wiki, which I'll link in the description. So you can pretty much look at almost any fighting game in existence on here. It's a giant wiki for fighting games, and it breaks down the system, the mechanics for each unique game. So right now I'm in Alpha 3, looking at Alpha 3 content, looking at Ryu's normals, but it also shows here it has all of his stuff. So every single move of his is quantified down to the numerical level, which will tell us more than what our eyes can. So it tells us the damage, how much it contributes to stun, the cancels, which I'll get to shortly after this, how much meters gained, whether the normal whiffed, as in missed, or it connected, it hit. And then the frame count here. So when you see the numbers separated like this first number is telling you the startup. So for this close standing jab, that's a startup of 3. And then the middle is always going to be the active frames. So that's 4 active frames, which is pretty good. And then 7 recovery frames. And that's usually how it goes, mostly for usually all your normals and for most characters, where the longest part of a move is the recovery, while the shortest is usually the active or the startup. So in this case, with the close standing, yeah, the startup is 1 frame shorter than the active. Anyway, so, but then what does this mean, block stun +3? This means that if the attack is blocked, I'm able to perform actions 3 frames sooner than my opponent. Now, if this was a negative symbol, -3, it would be the opposite. That means my opponent would be able to react 3 frames sooner. But here's a negative symbol right here next to Ryu's close standing strong. That's -8. That's pretty big. So my opponent, whenever it shows you a negative number, that's to the advantage of your opponent. So they can start performing actions 8 frames sooner than you can if this move was blocked. Now, here at the bottom where it says hit stun and counter hit, I'll get to counter hits later, so let's not worry about that for the moment. But hit stun, if the move was successful, it shows -7. So that means if I hit the opponent, they recover 7 frames sooner than me, which doesn't sound like a good deal, huh? But we'll get more on that later. The close standing strong is not so bad though. On hit, it's -2. So my opponent recovers 2 frames faster than me. With a block stun of -3. So whenever you see plus, that means it's an advantage towards you. And so that means it's the inverse for your opponent. If it's +3 for me, it's -3 for them. If it's -8 for me, it's +8 for them. And that is literally how you read frame data. That's it. So, for example, how can we put this to practical use? So, if you're playing against someone and they're using some normal move against you, I don't know, it's just really giving you trouble, and you just want to know, like, is that is that advantageous on block? If it is, by how much? Well, you can go to that character, for example, here in the super wiki, and look at that move and get everything you need to know about it. So it's like, oh, maybe this move is like it's plus for so many frames, so I need to respect it and I need to wait and not open myself up to a possible attack, by trying to act out of my turn while my opponent has the advantage. So and that's what it's all about. We hit our character, they get put into a state of hit stun, or they block, they get put in a state of block stun, and those 2 numbers can vary wildly or maybe not a whole lot. It depends move by move, which is why it's very important to, when you pick up a new character, to skim at their move list. Now, the thing is, not everything that's negative you should just think of as something bad. Because, for example, let's go back to Ryu's close standing strong. You see, it says -7 on hit, right? So a person at face value who's still a novice at this game might think, well, gosh, I might never want to use that move because it's -7. So why would I want that? But this will lead me to another part of the game, which is cancels. We can cancel certain moves, not all of them. But for example, his close standing strong, he could cancel into a special move. So I'm going to show you Ryu, he can cancel into his fireball. So for those negative moves that are cancelable, that's something that you can do to alleviate this issue of the negative number. Okay, so that was -7. Let's look at his fireball right quick. But what's the properties on that? Oh god. It says for the jab version, -10, strong, -11, fierce, -12. Well, gosh, it might be better to end with standing strong. No, it's because, with these games, the frame data, it can be wildly different. Going from one alpha to another, or Street Fighter 2, or like frame data can just, these games, they're a beast and they can vary wildly, which is why it's so useful to look at the frame data. But don't let the number scare you though. -10. Let's go back to the game right quick, because within 10 frames, our opponent should be able to counter attack us, right? Not necessarily so. Because look, see, they're blocking, right? That's also assuming that they have something to hit you back with. You know what I mean? Let me make Ken stop holding buttons. So you see, doing that combo, even though it's -10, he can't do anything to me after that. I mean, heck, he can barely do anything to me with just the standing strong. Because by the time his normal might get to me, I should be okay. But, this can vary, because some people, they can do a super move that has a fast startup, and they could tag you that way, potentially, coming out of the block stun. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So, but basically to say that, don't think that everything negative necessarily means something punishable for you. Sure, there are moves that are negative, but it doesn't mean that you're in danger. Now, if you use like a really negative move up close and, you weren't moved back a lot, there wasn't a whole lot of pushback from it, then yeah, it could be trouble. But, for something like this, like, look how far that spaces me out. That's not so bad. So let's talk about combos. Everyone has some sort of combo. So how do we combo? Oh, you know what? Actually, before I get to combos, my bad. I should talk about something else though quickly that's in relation to hits, right? I did say that there are 3 phases to an attack, which is the startup, the active, and the recovery, right? Well, there's technically another part that's happening during the active frames. You notice here, when I do reuse crouching strong, how quick it comes out. But then you notice if I hit Ken, it's sort of like the duration's like a little bit longer. So there's a word for that. That is called hit stop, or impact freeze, whichever one you choose. I call it impact freeze, but we can use whatever. But basically what that is it stops both of us for a certain amount of frames, actually, during the active frame that it hits. So let's just go frame by frame and I'll show you. So I hit medium punch. 1, 2. Oh wait, hold on. I need to turn hitboxes on. That'll help illustrate the point. Medium punch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that looks like 14 active frames, doesn't it? So that's what hit stop is. But if I do the move normally, well, this is actually, oh no, I can still do the move here. So can I? Hold on, let me do this in the corner actually, because yeah, I forgot you can only use this move up close, but I'm always hitting him, so. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the difference between 4 and 14. So that's what hit stop is. And it doesn't just apply to hits, it also it counts for block too. We both experience hit stop. And that's the developer's way of putting in the game to let us know that our attack was successful. It connected. But this really doesn't change the properties of our move, and it's nothing really that you need to take note of. It's just so you know that it exists and the name of it and what it really means. Because this will lead up to me talking about how we do combos. Because the most common way to do combos in this game is we go from our normals to our special moves. Like you've probably seen me do a few times already, like from that close strong into his fireball. So it is during the hit stop period is when we can cancel from a normal move to a special move. But also important to note that not all normal moves are cancelable. That's something that you would have to lab out for yourself if you didn't have access to like a wiki or something. Just go by normal and then do your special move, see if it connects or not. Or you can look at the wiki and it could tell you, oh, is this special cancelable? Is this super cancelable? Usually everything that's special cancelable is super cancelable, just as a heads up. So yeah, so a good way to combo is, because we still have to do this, we have 10 frames for this cancellation window. So there's actually plenty of time, because this is also not counting the startup of the move you're using. So for example, the startup, what was the startup of this, of the close medium punch? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 15. That's 15. You have 15 frames if you were to start at the beginning of the startup, which you should. So as soon as I press medium punch, I'm going to start the motion for my fireball. And if I do it correctly, I should get 2 hits scored on the screen. There we go. So yeah, 2 hits. 2 hits. If I wait too late, nothing will come out. I should note that, so this applies to hit stop. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So after that, there's those 4 extra active frames where we're out of hit stop. 1, 2, 3, 4. So none of those active frames can be canceled from it's too late from there. So just to let you know, because in general people say you can you cancel on your active frames, which is true, but you're really canceling during the hit stop period. It's better to say that because not all active frames are cancelable. It's during the hit stop period, which is, yes, during your active period, but you can only do the cancels while in hit stop, which is fine because there's plenty of time. That's the purpose of hit stop. It's to give you time, visual confirmation, and plenty of time to cancel into whatever. His fireball, the hurricane kick, his shoryuken. So I'm doing that as I'm pressing the button. His light punch, or he can cancel from his medium kick, his crouching medium kick. His heavy punch, that can be canceled. He can cancel from his crouching kicks. So yeah, so we can, let's go back to the wiki here for a quick second. So that's why that part that says here in the ground normal section, where it says special cancel yes, it's letting you know that you can cancel from that move, because we can't cancel from all the moves. So you see, for his close standing strong, which I showed off just not too long ago, connected a fireball from that. But his far standing strong, it says, yeah, it's no on everything. I mean, it's still good as a range tool. We can use it, but it's impossible to cancel from that because the developers made it so. We cannot cancel from that. If I tried to cancel from that, nothing would come out. The game wouldn't give me anything. I have to wait for Ryu to return to neutral in those 20 frames. Well, assuming it whiffed, because yeah, if it was blocked -7, then if it hit -6. So another way to do combos. There are two types of combos that we can do with our normals, just strictly our normals, which is chains and links. So let's start with chains first. Chains are canceling from one normal to another. So here I am playing Street Fighter Alpha 1. This game is famous because we can chain combos together. It was a series first that Capcom brought from their Darkstalkers game. So for example, I can chain from my light attacks to my heavy buttons. So I can go from light punch, medium punch, and then heavy punch. It's very easy to do. The timing isn't strict at all. It's treated like a normal cancel. Like if I was canceling from a special. From the active frames, the hit stop, we just wait for it to connect. In most Street Fighter games and most characters, they can usually jab from a light or do a crouching kick multiple times. Charlie, in this case, like, he can't, but he can chain multiple jabs. So even though all the other Street Fighter games aside from this one aren't chain heavy, you know, you still have some sort of option like that where you can chain jab together or do a bunch of light kicks, like maybe you saw with Ryu, the crouching light kicks. But with these chains, though, characters will still have specific chains, so you can't necessarily do every single possible type of chain combination together. Like I can't go from medium kick to heavy kick or heavy punch. Like that's it. I can cancel from that heavy, from that medium kick, but a special move, but not into another normal. So, or I could do light punch into light kick into crouching light punch into crouching light kick into a crouching heavy kick. So that's a good one. So yeah, in Street Fighter Alpha 2 and 3, they played more like the older Street Fighters, so you just use links in those. The only characters who actually could still chain were Guy and Jen. So in Alpha 2 and in 3, they could chain combos still. But the rest of the cast, they played the more older style. And that's just basically chains. It's normals that you can cancel into another normal. Okay, so we talked about chains and normal special cancels. Let's talk about links. And so here I have Street Fighter 4, which was the start of a lot of link-centric stuff. There's links in the older Street Fighter games, like even in Street Fighter 2, but this is a game where the characters, they have a lot of links. And that's true to Street Fighter 5 and 6. So links are cool because they can allow us more damage or just combo opportunities. And so, but their timing is very, very different from a cancel. It's not like a cancel at all. Which cancels are also still in this game. Not like the actual chain combos like you could do in Alpha 1, but like just smashing jab or guile, crouching short. I mean, like just like his Street Fighter 2 style. But with links, he can do something like go from his crouching light punch into his crouching medium punch. Wait. Oh, hold on. I need to remap my stuff because that was crouching heavy punch. Oh, jeez. And we're back. Okay. All the buttons have been mapped correctly. So yes, crouching light punch into crouching medium punch. So you see that connected. And that didn't connect. That did not connect. That connected. So what makes the links timing very specific? Because not all links are also created equal. It all comes down to the frame data once again. So I believe from crouching light punch into crouching medium punch, that's a 1 frame link. So you have 1/60th of a second to hit that link properly. But let me show you how you can discover what links your character has or might have, for example. So let me show you. So let's go back to the frame data. Okay, so here I have Street Fighter 4's frame data. I know this you can't read this, but so let me highlight it here. It's weird. So here's Guile's frame data. So let's look at that crouching light punch and crouching medium punch. So there's the damage, the stun. They both have a startup of 4. The crouching light punch has a active it's active for 2 frames, medium punch is active for 5, and then the recovery for medium punch is 10, the recovery for light punch is 8. And then it shows us on block, light punch is +1, So yep, the bare minimum. At least we recover 1 frame sooner. And then for medium punch, it's the opposite. So it's -1. But on hit, crouching medium punch is +2. And then crouching light punch is +4. So take note of this. So it says +4 on hit. So if you want to know if one attack can link into the other, this is how, these are the two numbers you're going to compare. The number that's plus on hit, and you want to compare that to a number equal or less than this number for the startup move of something. So crouching light punch is +4. So that means I can hit the opponent with an attack that has a startup of 4 or less. So do I have anything that starts up in 4 or less? I do. I got me close light kick. That's 3. And then I have crouching medium punch. That's 4. So that's why it is a 1-frame link. And by the way, I didn't mention this before when discussing frame data, but when we talk about the startup frames, it always includes the first frame, the first active frame in the startup. So if we want to be really, truly technical and honest with how the numbers actually are, this crouching light punch with a startup of 4 is actually 3. The active is still the same. It's just that the first frame of the active is put into the last frame of startup. I guess because people, they put it that way you only just have to compare two numbers with each other. Even though it's super easy because you're just, adding +1 to whatever the startup is. But yeah, anyways, so yeah, if you genuinely want to see the true frame data, just subtract -1 from startup, and that's what the actual startup is. So medium punch, crouching medium punch, and crouching left punch have a 3-frame startup. And that's why the link works, because on hit, crouching light punch is +4, so crouching medium punch with it starts up in 3 frames, and then on the 4th frame it's actually active. So that's why it's a 1-frame link. You get it? I hope so, because I don't know how to break it down more than that. I'm trying though. So yeah, so what else can we do? We can, for example, light kick. It is +3 on hit. So we can link into light punch from this. Wait, hold on. This layout is sort of hurting my eyes a little bit. What the heck? Shouldn't this be +4? Because it says on hit +3, but I've linked into light punch into this. I wonder if that was a typo or something. I don't know, because but anyways, let's just continue on for now. So, but yeah, so +4, and then Giles far heavy punch, it starts up in 5. Oh, now I know why. Yeah, I'm sorry. I I forgot. There's this like really cool link combo that I like with Guile, but the way it actually works, because you go to, no, it's not a typo. So you go from crouching light kick, which is +3, then you go into close standing light kick, which starts up in 3 frames, and then you do the close light punch, which is +5 on hit, and then you do the far high punch, which has the startup of 5. So that whole sequence looks really cool, and it's all 1 frame links. So I'll show you. Messed it up. There we go. 1 frame link. So yeah, but whether you chain from a move or link from a move, if you're chaining normals together, you're linking moves together, you can just end all of that with a special move, assuming that you haven't pushed your opponent too far back. So we could do something like he can go from his light kick to his crouching light kick to crouching light punch and then medium punch, and then we can end that with his somersault. Whoops. So yeah, simple little combo like that. And that is Link. So if you want to know if a link is possible, just compare the advantage of a move on hit to the startup of the move you want to try and link it with. If it's equal or less than the advantage of the move you're linking from, then the link will work. You know, some moves, they can be more generous, a 2 frame link or something like that. So not everything is a 1 frame link or something. So I guess I should talk about this too, is super cancels. So super cancels are just like special cancels, like when we're canceling from a normal into a special move. Like the way I keep screwing up here. So we can do something like, so Guile with his delta motion. There we go. So putting your supers inside the window of a move's hit stop, that's gonna be very tight timing, but it's still more than enough. It's just something you'll have to lab out via repetition. Doing this stuff is sort of a lot like playing the guitar. You just want to be comfortable, take it slow when you're doing the moves first. You just want to do the super moves by themselves. Get comfortable doing that until it becomes like natural. And then that's when you can try to stick it into combos. That way you can connect your supers from your normals. So that's something to do if you're playing a game that allows for supers and you're going from a normal that you can super cancel from. You can also, in some games, definitely not all, you can special cancel or I guess, no, super cancel from a special move. So, for example, his Sonic Boom into his Flash Super. So, to do stuff like that, like for example, I did the Delta motion there, but what I did differently was I held the down back for the charge, and then I hit forward and Sonic Boom, and then I go back to down and then up back kick. But he can also, something really, really cool is he can even super cancel from his flash kick. So this move right here, it's pretty cool looking. Yeah. I tried to do his ultra combo there. I failed. But yep. And then he also has a charge back super, his Sonic Hurricane. It's pretty cool. Oh, to do that flash super, by the way. So as you're doing the flash kick, you do the down back charge, you go up forward to do the flash kick, and then go back to down back, and then up forward kick. So it's just you're just going from the down diagonal to the up diagonal to the down diagonal to the up diagonal again. So yeah, might feel a little weird at first, but then it becomes natural after a while. So yeah, it still counts that as it'll accept that as input for that super, which is pretty cool. Oh yeah, so I was gonna talk about buffers, but I guess I talked about buffers without saying the word buffer. I mean, I've mentioned charge buffering in the video, but this is not to be confused with that sort of buffering. You remember charge buffering, right? Which we can still do here. We can do it with any game that has a charge move. But no, for buffering our specials and our supers, that's just to do the motion for our specials or supers while they're being done at the startup of our other actions. But yeah, I've been showing you that though. So like as soon as I press medium punch and I know I want to combo into his flash super, that's just when I start the motion for it. So I'm not waiting long after this hits or something or this or that, because then it will be already too late. So as soon as when you want to cancel into the super and as soon as you press that button, that's when you should start doing the moves, so that you already did part of it during the startup of your move, and then you have that extra time from the hit stop to actually cancel into it. I mean, that's just what buffering is. So and I think that takes care of that. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about corner combos. So I've mentioned pushback in this video, but when people are in the corner, since the person who's putting the offensive pressure is only being pushed back, it sort of helps with corner combos. But it's also something to be careful of, because there's a lot of people who will practice combos in the corner and then they'll sort of forget or not realize that those combos won't work, and you know, when you're away from there. So just to show you an example, there's a really cool chain combo ending with Charlie's special flash kick that he can do, where he does crouching light punch and then crouching light kick, and then he goes into standing light kick, taking advantage of the, because while I'm doing the light punch light kick, I'm charging for the flash kick, right? And so I let go. I go to neutral for a second so he can do his standing medium kick, and then I go straight into the flash kick from there. It's the timing's a little tight, but it actually looks really, really cool, and it looks something like this. So yeah, but I can't do that combo away from the corner. Check it out. I might not do the combo at all. It is a little finicky. Yeah, see, it didn't connect. But there are some ways around that. Like I could jump in with a light kick or a light punch, and I notice it's a little more lenient that way. Or yeah, so see. But yes, it's just something to be aware of. So let me put Ken back in the corner. But another good thing about the corner is, because another way we can do combo in these Street Fighter games is we can do air juggles. And so there's a really cool combo that Charlie can only do in the corner, but it's great for if he has 2 bars of his super meter. So in this training purpose exercise, I have 3. So yeah, he can't do it off screen because the opponent will far too far off horizontally. But since we're in the corner, that can't happen. They'll just be falling vertically, but then my second super will catch them. So it's a combo that involves 2 supers. So let's check it out. That wasn't it. That wasn't it. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's the actual full thing, the level 2 second super. So yeah, which is pretty cool. So just to show you, I'm going to try to do that here. So that part will connect, but you see the opponent, they fly so far off horizontally. So yeah, it's a good idea, you know, to try and maximize damage, see what you can do in the corner, but just also don't forget that everything you can do in the corner, you can't necessarily do away from the corner. So yes, corner is good, but remember, it's not the be all end all. So let's talk a little bit about counter hits. Not all Street Fighter games have this, but in this game, Alpha 3, and in the modern titles like Street Fighter 4, 5, 6, these games heavily use counter hits. So they're very, very important because they change the property a little bit of our normals. If we score a counter, what is a counter hit? Well, if we hit our opponent while they're performing some sort of action of their own, the screen will flash white and then some words will pop up. So see, he scored a counter hit on me because his jab interrupted my heavy kick. So let me make Ken do that. So you see, normally this, what I can also do is put Ken in a constant state of counter hit to show. It's a good exercise to show what I can do from my normal. So in this game, specifically if you hit someone with a heavy button, so heavy punch or heavy kick, it's just gonna make them go in the air, and from that you can do like a air combo or a air grab, or continue your offense from the ground or whatever. But let's go to the wiki right quick. So I have Charlie's info here. So here it shows if, oh, for crouching jab, if I score a counter hit with crouching jab, it leaves me plus 10, which is great because I can link with his crouching strong after that very easily. So these counter hits can open up new links. So in that case, you would just be comparing the counter hit once again to the startup of the move you want to link with. So, oh, he got dizzy. So that's pretty cool. Oh, this flash kick sucks in this game, but yeah. Whoop. There we go. Had to wait a little longer than I thought. Boom. So yeah. So counter hits are very, very important for the games that do have them. Don't sleep on them, because yeah, they'll definitely open up new links for you that you need to take into account. So if you're up close and you score it, then you could easily confirm into a super. That's just free damage for you. So yeah. So let's talk about Kara cancels and Kara throws. So this is a word that you might hear around the forums or online or in a video or something like this one. So what that means, this is a Japanese word for empty. A Kara cancel, it means like an empty cancel. It's basically, it's put, it wasn't like the cancel itself was put in by the developers just for the sake of using it. It was really, once again, a leniency thing where the early part of a startup of a normal move could be canceled as something, so your special move would take priority. So like if you were pressing a punch or something, but you were also doing your special move, the game would be like, oh well, you finished your special move during the very early part of this punch, so we won't let your punch take priority. We'll let your special move take priority. So that'll be the thing that comes out. So you might see yourself do a Kara cancel by accident. It happens, but like pro players are who get really deep into the game, they'll use Kara cancels just as a tool. So for example, Q, well, and not just him either, but characters, they can do these Kara throws where they can give themselves their throws a little more reach. So for example, if I do his throw, you see he's just stationary here. I gotta press both of the light buttons together while holding a direction to do it. But his medium punch, whoops, that's his special move. His medium punch, though, it advances him, but it advances him forward a little bit, right? Oh my goodness. So I want the properties of that move to help me with my throw. So if a normal cancel is canceling a normal move during its active frame, then a Kara cancel is just canceling a move during its startup frame, but very, very early. And in this game, it's very, very early. For this game, Street Fighter 3, only the first startup frame can be Kara canceled. So the timing is very, very tight. So as soon as I press forward medium punch, I just, not a second after, I need to do my throw animation. If I did it right and pay very close attention, you'll see Q just sort of do like this slight micro teleport forward. So the normal throw, and then you see, whoops. So I didn't do that just by moving forward. I did that because his medium punch, while I was using the throw or whatever, it was advancing me forward. The Kara cancel was working. So normal throw, Kara cancel throw. Whoops. So it takes a little while to get used to, but it's doable with just a little bit of practice. So that would be an example of a Kara throw. So that was Kara throws. Other games, they might be a little bit more lenient with the Kara cancel window. Like in Street Fighter 2, it's a 5-frame window. You can cancel the startup of a move. And something really cool in this game is you could just Kara cancel your normal completely in order to bypass this restriction in Street Fighter 2. So I'll just show you here, for example. So Street Fighter 2 had this thing where excuse me, where excuse me, I'm dying. Where if you press 2 consecutive buttons, whether it was crouching or standing, you couldn't special cancel from that or super cancel from that. So watch, I'm going to try and do a flash kick. So you see, I can't do a flash kick because it's, I don't know, it's just how it was in this game. But because gamers are so creative and resourceful, they found a way around that. They had noticed, like, oh, well, as long as we switch stances, so go, like if we're starting from a crouching position, we can, on our third hit, we can go to a standing position, and then it can give us the special move. So watch, I'm going to do his flash kick after a third light punch, but standing. Whoops. Yeah, doesn't really connect, but is because it's sort of like pushing me far. But we don't even have to wait for that to come out because of the Kara cancel window. We can, the game can still recognize the normal being put out, but since we're canceling it so fast, it'll give us what we need for the cancel, and at the same time, it won't push me that far back where my stuff won't hit. So check it out. Whoops. There you go, 3-hit combo, and I did it from the crouching position. But if you see my inputs, you see the first 2 punches, I did them crouching, but then as soon as I hit up, I hit punch and kick very, very close together. Because I had canceled my punch that fast with the kick that it just overrid it, the priority. So that's something really cool, and I could do the same thing for the Sonic Boom. I can't a combo from Sonic Boom like this, but I can do I mean, it doesn't really connect, but yeah. It can still come out. And Guile, he can combo from his crouching light kick and do the same thing. Because he can chain into a standing light kick. So we can cancel that standing light kick. Well, that hit, but oops. That was 2 hits. There we go, 3 hits. So yeah. And so that was also really cool because not all characters could, like I said before, can chain this way. Like in this game, I don't think like Dalsim can or even Honda, but for characters who had normals that could be chained like this, it was a great way to combo into your super, because supers are notoriously hard. Out of all the games, in this game it's the most difficult to do because even though there's hitstop in this game, the supers, they don't benefit from hitstop at all. Like in every other game. So that's why in this game, the supers, they're way harder to pull off because the developers, they only give you a 7-frame window, which is incredibly tight. So if you're canceling off of a single attack, you have to be very, 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 very quick and do your almost treat your super as a Kara cancel, even though it's not off of a single attack, because the timing is very similar. I'll show you that in a second, but just to finish with this example with the Kara canceling out completely the light punch or light kick, right? So I can combo into Guile's super this way, where I did the same thing to do the flash kick, right? So this I can apply to the super. Whoops. Oh, that was close. That was close too. Wasn't fast enough. Nope. Okay, that was it, but I waited a little too... No. There we go. That's it right there. And there we go. I got the kick the kick version perfect. Even though like that's the one that usually gives people more trouble instead of the punch one. But yeah, for me, I guess it's like the inverse. There we go. That was perfect that time. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, so so you don't have 7 frames to do your super in general. It's just that you have 7 frames to do it if you're doing it off of an attack, you know. So like he can combo into his super from this crouching medium, but you have to do it incredibly quick, and you have to do the alternative version of his super, which is you just hold down and then you do down forward and then you do up back and then kick. So it would be something like this. Oops, that's not it. That ain't it either. There we go. So it's incredibly, incredibly tight. So that's your choices, either doing that or doing this. But I mean, it's cool. It's like this neat little accomplishment where you can do these old school supers in a game like this. And it even works with the crossup too. Yeah, that was awesome. Last but not least is hit confirms. What hit confirms are good for is it allows us to know after a series of like two attacks, two chains or two links, for example, to know whether or not our third hit, whether it's a special move or a super move, uh, if for us to get visual confirmation if it's safe enough. I mean, not safe enough. If it's safe for us to do it. So if the opponent is not blocking, we want to go ahead and commit to the attack. But if they're blocking, we don't. And so it's easy to fight a dummy because most of the time they don't block. But when you fight a person in a real match, yeah, they'll block for the most part. But then oftentimes you'll get these stray hits against them, and the whole point of hit confirms is to capitalize on those opportunities to get more damage. So let's do a simple hit confirm with Ryu here. I set the CPU to randomly guard. So I'm going to do 2 of his crouching light shorts. Well, that time Ken didn't block, so. But yes, I'm going to do 2 of his crouching shorts, but at the same time, I'm also going to be buffering his super. If the shorts are blocked, I won't continue. If I'll just end with the shorts. But if he's not blocking, then I'll end with the super. So you see, that's it takes a little bit of practice, but that's like a easy doable hit confirm you can do. But you can see with the previous ones that I did, I was still buffering the super. So my left hand is still doing it's acting like it's just gonna do a normal super move, but it's your right hand that has to have the trigger finger discipline. You don't want to commit to an attack until you know for sure that your opponent is not blocking, because you don't want to waste your meter. Unless your opponent is about to be chipped out to death, well, in that case, then you can continue with your block string if it means killing them that way. But for the most part. The next thing after that is single hit confirms, which are a lot harder than from 2 attacks, but it's still something nice to learn. It can benefit a lot because, for example, from here, Ryu's crouching shorts don't work, but his crouching medium kick and his standing medium punch, they reach. So from that, I can do a hit confirm at a distance. But just like with the crouching shorts, I'll be buffering the move, so I'm doing 99% of the work while the move is starting up, just as if I was going to cancel it, but still waiting for a hit to see if it hits or not before I can proceed. So let's see. So there.